Hey everybody, and welcome to my overpowered early build guide for sorcery. Now sorcery in this game is extremely strong if done right, and I think this build does it almost perfect. As of right now my level is 38, but this is pretty much a level 40 build. As for the equipment that we're using the meteorite staff, as well as we're only wearing some of the astrologer set, so we can have the fast roll. We have the Radagon's Sword Seal. It increases vigor, endurance, strength, and dexterity each by 5, but increases damage taken. The increased damage won't really matter too much for the early game, but will matter a lot for endgame. The build guide also shows you how to get 7 flasks, each at +4. The Flask of Wondrous Physic also has the Opaline bubble tier, which will reduce the damage majorly for a single hit, and the Green Spell Crystal tier, which temporarily raises max stamina. There's also the Lone Wolf Ashes, which is a spirit summon. Stats for the build is 14 Vigor, 20 Mind, 14 Endurance, 13 Strength, 17 Dexterity, 43 Intelligence, 7 Faith, and 9 Arcane. However, it is including the Radagon Sword Seal bonus, so if you take off the Sword Seal, your stats are going to look more like this. As for the sorceries used in the build guide, there's a lot of sorceries in the game, but I find these ones to be the most helpful for early game. First, there is Glintstone Pebble. This spell is really nice. It's very low FP cost, so you can spam it a lot until you run out of stamina. Its range is also pretty okay. If we go over here and cast it, I think you can see the range here. Pretty okay range. Then you have Carian Slicer, which is the best spell in the game for pure damage per second. As you can see, your staff becomes a magical sword, and you can just keep on swinging all you want. It's very stamina efficient, and as you can see, it only costs 4 FP for a single cast of the spell. And then you have Rock Sling, which is a super overpowered spell, especially for early game. It starts falling off more in endgame, but it is a really nice spell. It does purely physical damage, so you don't have to worry about like magic resistances or anything. The spell is a lifesaver for one of the later magical bosses in this game. Let me know in the comments what's the other build guide I should do next. I'm thinking maybe a Faith overpowered early guide. But without further ado, let's get started. For the starting class, you're going to want to go Astrologer, because Astrologer has the highest starting mind and intelligence, which are both things that you're really going to need a lot of when you're doing a Sorcerer build. For a keepsake, either choose the Golden Seed or the Stone Sword keys. On the map I put a bunch of different markers, and that is all certain areas that we're going to have to end up going to. Once you arrive in Limgrave, we're going to have a lot of preparation to do. Every single one of these markers has an item that's going to be helpful towards the build, but from the first step site of Grace, go over here and you're going to get to the Church of Ella, then follow the path here and you'll get to Gatefront Ruins, and there's going to be a site of Grace right here. Make sure you rest at the site of Grace so you can unlock leveling as well as your horse. First area we're going to be knocking out is Limgrave, because we actually have a lot of stuff to get here. From the Gatefront site of Grace, right over here, and you're going to get the map for Limgrave. Then right over here to the Aguil Lake North side of Grace, then right along this bridge and keep going until you get to this side of Grace. Over on this marker right here, there's going to be a corpse that's going to have the Royal House Scroll, and they're going to give the Royal House Scroll to someone that's going to give you more sorceries. To the Church of Ella side of Grace. And it should be nighttime, and there should be an NPC right here. Talking to them will give you the Lone Wolf Ashes. Next, go back to the first step site of Grace, and over here is going to be another item we're going to need. You're going to want to go on your horse, and you're going to want to ride along over here. And right here, you're going to want to jump. Then there's going to be an item right here, which is a gold pickled foulfoot. I already picked it up, that's why it's not there. After doing that, you can go up here, and you jump again, and then you're right back where you were. Go back to the Aguil Lake North side of Grace, and then cross the bridge. Instead of going down here, make a turn and go this way, and keep following the path until you get to the Third Church of America. Once you get over here, make sure you grab the Flask of Wondrous Physic, which will be sitting right here, and also make sure you grab the Scarred Tear over here. Now from the Third Church of America site of Grace, you're going to want to take the path over here and get the map for this area, and then go up to this Minor Erd Tree. Once you get over to the Minor Erd Tree, Make sure you grab these physic tiers right here. I want to ride over to this side of Grace, and right here will be a golden seed waiting for you. Now the last thing to do in Limgrave is go to the gate front side of Grace, go up here, make sure you grab the golden seed, then keep going up here, and there's going to be another side of Grace. From the Agia Lake south side of Grace, keep going down here. Once you get to the Bridge of Sacrifice side of Grace, keep going down here, and there's going to be a weapon that you're going to have to get, which is the Morning Star. Keep going down here until you get to another side of Grace, and then go here to get the map, and then here to get the Golden Seed. Then go back to the Castle Morn Rampart side of Grace, right along over here up to this church, get the Scarred Tier, and then go back to the side of Grace. And then from the same side of Grace again, you're going to want to go up here, then turn here, and keep going up here until you get to this church. Make sure you grab the Scarred Tier. And there's also a boss over here that we're going to have to fight, but we'll do that later. From the Church of the Pilgrimage side of Grace, go all the way down here until you get to this church. And make sure you grab the Scarred Tier. And now the last area we have to do is the Caelid region. We're going to get the staff and a really good sorcery that we're going to use for the build. From the Third Church America side of Grace, right over here, tucked in some bushes, there's going to be a teleporter. And that's going to take you to the Bestial Sanctum. When you get the site of Grace, go back over to Third Church of America. And you're going to want to go on your horse. You're going to want to ride along up here. There's going to be a Spirit Spring. Jump. You're going to see there's another one. Jump again. Then there's going to be one more. And then jump one more time. Avoid that church over there, because if you go there you'll get invaded, but then just keep on riding up here until you get to this side of Grace. Now from the Rot View balcony side of Grace, you're going to want to ride over here till you get to this side of Grace, then ride down here till you get to this one, and just keep on following the path here until you get the map. Then go back to this side of Grace, and over here on the map is going to be the staff that we're using, and then over here will be the Rock Sling spell. To this side of Grace, the Bestial Sanctum. We are crazy underleveled for this place, and it's pretty dangerous. Avoid big guy over here and ride along on your horse all the way down until you get to that bridge over there. He's still aggroed on me. There's also a golden seed you can grab over there. And then you'll get to this Grace. From this side of Grace, keep riding over here, and then there's going to be the Lenny's Rise side of Grace. And then from the Lenny's Rise side of Grace, you're going to want to take the exact path that I go. But head down here, and then a boulder is going to spawn and try to crush you. If you cheese it to fall off the edge like that, you shouldn't die. Also, this is a pretty good ruin farm for early game. It gives you 2,000 ruins every time you make it fall off the edge, and every time after you do it, you can just fast travel back to the Grace. But keep going down. And keep following the path over here. Another boulder is going to spawn. Just cheese this one off the edge as well. And keep following the path. Avoid the bears. Once you get to this side of Grace right here, you're going to want to rest and make sure you go to the round table hold. You should get the offer. Then go back to the side of Grace and go on your horse. Avoid the big scary dragon. And keep going southwest. And then you're going to see this wall right here. And what you're going to want to do is you're just going to want to hug the wall. Just keep on hugging the wall. And that's a dragon that we're going to kill, and he's going to give us a ton of ruins. But keep hugging the wall until you get to this side of Grace right here. Now for this next part, I would recommend spending any runes that you have right now, because what we're doing is pretty much a suicide. I'm putting all of my runes into intelligence, and you should also as well. Next, we're going to want to go in the fort right here, and you're going to want to run there's going to be a ladder right there. Now you do have to go pretty quickly. Every single enemy inside here can one-shot you, I'm pretty sure. And they also have a poison attack, but if you're fast enough, you shouldn't get poisoned and you shouldn't die. Once you get up here, make sure you open this chest. There's going to be a certain key item that you're going to need to get into another area later. But then jump down from there to here. And then go over here. Drop down here. Make sure you grab this ruin item here. And then you're going to want to jump. And then you're going to want to fall. And then you're going to want to grab the talisman right here. And I would just let the rats murder me. Now the talisman that we picked up, what it does is raises vigor, endurance, strength, and dexterity each by 5, but you're going to take increased damage when you have it on. But now we're going to kill this dragon over here. Now you're going to want to use the Morning Star because the Morning Star has bleed, and bleed is pretty strong in this game. Also make sure you have your gold pickled foulfoot ready. And you're just going to want to smack the dragon until he dies. And it'll take probably about 5 minutes. But trust me, you're going to want to do this. Get the dragon really low. You're going to want to use the gold pickled foulfoot. And basically what it does is it's going to give you a lot more ruins when you kill this guy. And now we're going to level up. Now as for what to level up, I would at first get my mind to 20. I think 20 is a very well balanced amount for early game. And then with that being at 20, I would just pour the rest into intelligence. I wouldn't really start leveling vigor until much later in the game, but it is always good to put a few points into vigor so you can actually survive an attack. You're going to want to use all of your ruin items that you have. Then you're going to want to go to the round table hold. Then you're going to want to go over here. And you're going to want to talk to the twin maiden husks. And you're going to want to buy a memory stone. Memory stones allows you to have more spells on at once. And now we're going to go and kill 2 bosses. We're going to want to go to the Aegea Lake north side of Grace and go to memorize spell and add rock sling. And they're going to replace your astrologist staff with the meteorite staff. It has S scaling intelligence, but you can't upgrade it. So it's going to be pretty good until like the halfway point of the game where you can get much better sorcery staffs. But you can see we're getting a lot more sorcery scaling with the staff. But next you're going to want to go over to these ruins. And once you get over to these ruins, there's going to be a boss here. Right over here is going to be the boss. When you enter, I'd recommend summoning your wolves so you can actually get spells off without getting hit. And as for your red potion to blue potion ratio, I would recommend having around 3 to 4. I mean, you can see how much damage we're actually doing to him. Also, make sure you have ruins on you, but then this is your first sorcery teacher that you're going to find in the game. Progress all their dialogue. And you're going to want to give them the Royal House Scroll. And then this is going to give you access to arguably one of the best spells in the entire game, at least for damage per second. And the next boss that we're going to have to fight is this Erdtree avatar. And this also does a lot of stance damage, so you're going to get a lot of stance breaks off of most of the bosses. And for killing the boss, we were actually given some really helpful things that are going to make this build a lot more better. So in the Flask of Wondrous Physic, there's a lot of different things you can throw in here. For killing the boss, we were given the Opaline Bubble Tier, which basically makes it so you can eat an entire hit, but it does break after, so it's only one hit that you can eat. If everything is done, you should have the full and complete build. But that's pretty much it for the build guide. But let me know if the build guide was helpful. If you're willing to support my channel, then liking and subscribing would be much appreciated. And I'll see you guys in the next video. And a goofy little way to show the power of Carian Slicer, we're going to kill the guy that calls you maidenless at the beginning of the game. Now before you do this, I would not condone murdering any NPCs at all, but I don't really plan on playing on this character, so I'm going to do it anyway. And you can see in just 4 casts, he died.